What's good, YouTube? We back with another one. JayBxTunedIN, and we in tune, man. We got a special video. We got the Flash trailer 2023 Evil Flash. First look. I think this is emergency awesome. He always be reacting to the comic book stuff and superhero news and all that. Very well informed and knowledgeable about all these. So we gonna watch the trailer. He gonna break it down and shit. So we gonna tune in.
Tell me something. You can go anywhere you want, any timeline, any universe. Why do you want to stay? Fight to save this one. Are you in?
You know, it sucks too. Side note, I like the other Flash better. If y'all know from the CW show, because I don't know if y'all know about Ezra Miller's past. He had been on some crazy shit and got in trouble with the law a couple of times. And it's not even just the fact that he did that, and I'm saying kick him off, don't make him be the Flash. But like, I just don't think he's a good Flash in my opinion. Like, he don't really suit the role in the movies. Flashes don't act dorky. He's humorous. You know what I'm saying? Quick witty and all that. Like, I feel like the one in the CW, he fits it more better. Like, he feels like he could portray the role. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But, you know, a script and writing and all that, management, universes, they're not going to jack him being, you know, the Flash actor. But that's just my opinion. I just like the CW one better. Grant Hill, I think? Something like that.
Charlie, a first look at the main villain of the Flash movie was just released, so we'll break it all down. It changes some of the original Reverse Flash storyline that they're adapting for the movie because they're doing a version of Flashpoint, so I'll explain. But it combines a lot of Easter eggs that also include some Easter eggs for the DC TV Grant Gustin Flash. If you're brand new to the channel, James Gunn is getting ready to announce his full slate of DC Phase 1 movies for the next few years, which includes all the rebooted versions of the characters. We'll find out who's staying, who's surviving, and who got fired, like who got the boot, because you can't spell reboot without boot.
This is a mean boot.
Of course, we'll do videos for all that stuff. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. I literally just posted a video about Jason Momoa revealing that he was not going to be fired. Like, he's one of the original DCEU Snyderverse actors who will survive
but they gonna fire Henry Cavill, right? Like he's not best Superman.
The reboot and continue being Aquaman. But on top of that, they're also apparently going to let him play other new characters in live action movies at the same time, like while he's also still playing Aquaman.
That's cool.
The rumors are right. I'll always be Aquaman. Ain't anyone coming in there and taking shit. And then there might be some other characters too. So
he seems really excited about coming back as multiple characters. I'll put a link for that video at the end of this and down in the description below. But you also probably saw the first look at the main villain of the Flash movie in your feeds. Thanks again to the toys, we know exactly what's going on with the main villain. We had an idea before, but this is quite a bit different than what I expected it was going to look like in the film. And it looks like it was inspired by a couple of comic book and big Flash TV show characters and Easter eggs. For those of you wondering how much DC TV stuff did make it into the movie, like Grant Gustin Flash stuff, in the new promo, they confirmed that the main villain is being referred to as Dark Flash, not Reverse Flash, not Evil Flash, but he is basically like the evil version of Flash. But it does confirm that Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash is not the main villain. Evil Flash, but he is basically like is being referred to as Dark Flash, not Reverse Flash, not Evil Flash, but he is basically like the evil version of Flash. But it does confirm that Eobard, not evil, confirmed that the main villain is being referred to as Dark Flash, not Reverse Flash, not Evil Flash, but he is basically like the evil version of Flash.
Different version of Flash.
But it does confirm that Eobard Thawne
you got dark, evil, and reverse.
Reverse Flash is not the main villain, or at least right now, as far as we know, connected to this particular
dark version, and one is reversed.
There are other villains in the movie, like more obvious villains, like Michael Shannon is coming back as a multiverse version of Zod, Feora is coming back, and they're meant to be versions of the characters who in Michael Keaton Batman's universe came to this Earth to conquer, but for some reason Henry Cavill's Superman wasn't there to stop them. It's Supergirl on this Earth. I think the idea is that it was her pod that wound up on planet Earth, not Henry Cavill's Superman, or something happened to his pod in this universe that caused it to not reach Earth yet.
She has no blonde hair.
But it sounds like Zod and Feora aren't the actual main villains of the movie. It's really Dark Flash. And if you look at his suit, it's all black. I know that makes you think of the Black Flash, but that's like a completely different concept, completely different character. Whereas the Black Flash's suit just looks like a black version of the suit, this black version of the suit looks almost organic, like it's growing all over his body. and it looks like his face has also been scarred. They did do like a final boss version of Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash in a black costume like this that looks a little bit more like this, more organic looking, which if you haven't read the comics, makes him look almost exactly like a New 52 version of the Reverse Flash. At least his concept is the same concept as the Reverse Flash of the New 52, who was Iris West's younger brother, Daniel West. He was a totally new character created during the New 52 reboot, and it was meant to be a new spin on the concept of the Reverse Flash, because they wanted to use somebody new for Reverse Flash who wasn't Eobard Thawne, like not bringing him back for like the billionth time, but they did eventually bring a version of Eobard Thawne back in the New 52. So they're basically taking that concept, but also, at least according to the official marketing, they're not calling him Reverse Flash in the movie, which is good because it leaves them room to introduce Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash in future movies when they eventually recast Ezra Miller and do a rebooted version of all this stuff. The other major change that they're making for Dark Flash in this movie is that he's actually a future version of alternate universe Barry Allen who's become evil and twisted, like the alternate Barry from Michael Keaton Batman's Earth. It looks like through his use of the Speed Force has changed his body, his suit to look like this, which is another New 52 Reverse Flash thing. Like they're taking the Daniel West storyline and giving some of that to this alternate version of Barry and combining it with a version of Flashpoint. The whole idea with Daniel West Reverse Flash is that he looked like this
going evil and suit going like
they're taking the Daniel West
like
storyline and giving some of that to this alternate version of Barry and combining it with a version of Flashpoint. The whole idea with Daniel West's Reverse Flash is that he looked like this, like his suit, his face, his body looked like this because of the way the negative Speed Force had physically changed his body. It made him look more monstrous. What they're saying about the other Barry Allen in the trailers, the one from Michael Keaton Batman's Earth, is that main Flash Ezra Miller travels the multiverse, winds up on Michael Keaton Batman's Earth, and there he finds a younger version of himself who hasn't become the Flash yet. Like, even though he looks the exact same, he's meant to chronologically be a younger version, and they're going to think of him as kind of like a kid Flash in the movie before he becomes evil. And for longtime Flash TV show watchers, some of these tropes will feel familiar to you. Here's the other big connection to Grant Gustin Flash. They're basically pulling a Savitar in the Flash movie with this alternate Barry.
Like I told you from the beginning.
I remember that.
I am the future Flash.
If you didn't watch The Flash Season 3, Savitar is the Flash Comics villain who thinks of himself as the god of speed and uses the Speed Force in a slightly different way than the Flash family. He's like a completely different character in the comics. In the DC TV universe on the Flash TV show, they changed his backstory and said that he was actually an evil future version of Barry Allen, like a future time remnant that had become evil. Like an echo from another timeline that was created when the main version of Barry, Grant Gustin Flash, started creating a bunch of time remnants to also fight Savitar. This was meant to build on the concept of the TV show version of Flashpoint, with Barry changing the past and causing all kinds of dangerous ripple effects in the future. One of the side effects of him doing that, messing with the timelines, was the creation of Savitar, and it wound up being one of his alternate future selves that had just become evil. Sure is a nice timeline. Be a shame if someone mess it up, like goes right back to that original meme. Because that's kind of what they're doing in the Flash movie, with like the main Ezra Miller Flash messing with the timelines, but doing it on Michael Keaton Batman's Earth. It sounds like the Flash movie is just using a way simpler spin on that concept, that Savitar concept, to explain how this alternate younger Barry goes from being just like a totally normal kid to becoming Dark Flash and wind up fighting the mains. I believe they're also kind of thinking of the younger Barry Allen as the movie's version of Kid Flash until he turns evil. Like, you can see him wearing this alternate homemade version of the Flash suit. Like, he doesn't have the advanced one from the Flash ring like the main Ezra Miller Flash gets. So they wind up turning one of Michael Keaton Batman's old Batman costumes, like repainting it into a new Flash costume. That's why it looks so weird. I made some references about this in my previous Flash movie videos. Like, there were a bunch of jokes about how the neck looked super huge, and that's because it's like literally a Batman cowl that they refashioned into a Flash cowl and cut the ears off of. It sounds like the main Ezra Miller Barry Allen Flash is responsible for this younger Barry Allen becoming the Flash in his universe, and whatever he does through those actions and whatever happens with Michael Shannon Zod and Feora, it just leads to this younger Barry going completely twisted and evil in the future. And it's meant to be their spin on a Flashpoint story, like the whole idea of Ezra Miller's Flash learning that he can't alter the past, like he just has to learn to accept certain things. You can't change everything, even if you can change time. During the movie, that also goes back to him wanting to change his mother's death, like wanting to go back into the past to stop her from dying. And that's core Flashpoint from the comics. The real question with the reboot now, though, is what's going to happen to this alternate evil future version of Barry, like the Dark Flash in this alternate universe. Do they wind up stopping him? Do they wind up reversing the changes to the timeline so that he's never created? In the original Flashpoint story, the whole resolution to the story is that it's just one timeline, like it's one single universe. It's not a multiverse story. The main version of Barry learns that Eobard Thawne had been trying to trick him into altering the timeline, leading to the destruction of the entire world. So the main Barry realizes that he has to go back in time and stop himself from changing the past. His mother still wound up dying, and he has to live with the tragedy of that, but the rest of the world winds up being safe in present day. There have been some weird rumors about them potentially bringing Ezra Miller back in future movies, even though I think we all assumed that he's going to be recast because he's become such a liability to the studio. They could always say at the end of the movie that they think that they reversed the changes to the timeline on Michael Keaton Batman's Earth, but the evil Dark Flash, like the evil future version of this alternate Barry, winds up escaping into the multiverse, and that's still played by Ezra Miller, like he's playing both roles. So if Ezra Miller comes back, it could potentially just be as the dark, evil Flash. Personally, with the entire reboot of the universe, I think it's just easier for them to use the Flashpoint story to say that when they write things, like when they try to fix the timeline at the end of the movie, they just fix it in a way that still causes like a couple minor changes, and things are just quote-unquote a little bit different in the future. And that's how they explain James Gunn's rebooted version of the DC universe. Originally, it seemed like they were going to recast all the Justice League actors, so it would have been a little bit easier to use Flashpoint to wrap all that up. But then Jason Momoa came out and was like, hell no, nobody's recasting me, I'm coming back all I want. Also coming back as multiple characters. Originally, they did have Henry Cavill's Superman cameos and Gal Gadot Wonder Woman cameos in the Flash movie. It sounds like those have been taken out. I've talked about this in the past. Crazy. Just because they're rebooting everything, they don't want to have a bunch of scenes that tease future movies that they're not going to pay off because their plan for the next 10 years of DC movies are completely different. He replied to someone's post a couple days ago saying that the month wasn't completely over because he had promised that he would announce his DC Phase 1 slate before the end of the month. Hopefully he doesn't wait till like the last possible minute on January 31st to make his announcement. Of course, I'll do videos for all that stuff. Make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Click here to watch Jay's third trailer video.
Damn, let me know what y'all think, man. That's crazy with all the changes happening. I like DC, but I'm hoping this helps y'all game because I feel like y'all shouldn't have never let go Henry Cavill. You get it? Y'all want to reboot, but why change him? Like, out of all people. Like, for real. Like, Flash, I could get that. Fix up the shit in the Flashpoint. I get you want to change certain shit, reboot the storyline, but firing certain actors is not the whole way to go. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. We catch you on the next one.
Diamonds cutting my wrist, same color cutting the brick. I fight on this bitch and this bitch. I had to go up in my list. No, I ain't putting no pics. No, I can stay for a lick. I'm flexing this all on my wrist. I'm making these little niggas sick. Water, that's all on my hand. A roof and she live on my fist. I gotta get bitch that he's rich. It's time to make me bitch lit. Yeah, if you gon' shoot, for nigga you better shoot. I know what the bulletproof. I got diamonds on my tooth. I got diamonds on my hand. I got diamonds on my rims. I got diamonds on my friend. Let the story jump again. You on my suit.